Hello, everyone. Oh, we went black. Are we there?
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to, is this our fourth?
Four.
Fourth one. Our fourth update, since we have been really strongly all dealing with the stay-at-home order and the COVID-19, where we've tried to really stay in touch. Our goal of this, and you can see that Terry and I right now are practicing social distancing. She is on FaceTime here on my computer, and I'm at the usual spot at PSC. So we wanted to be sure to include both of us here because you know that Terry always has something to say. So do you want to say hello first, Terry?
Hi, everyone. I'm not used to this NBC, ABC, CBS type of communication, but I am following the rules and I am staying at home just as I've been told.
You want extra credit for that?
Yeah, I want extra credit.
You should get it, and so should everyone else. We really want to encourage all that are within this earshot to, whether you're in Illinois, Indiana, or our friends from around the country or the globe, follow what your local government is saying that you should do. We need to be together. I have recently kind of fallen in love with this hashtag, and it's really more a sentiment, and it's alone together, because that's really what we are. We're alone together around the world. Many of us are, for the first time in our lives, being in the same kind of four walls nonstop. Many of us, for the first time, are away from our businesses, away from the teams that have supported, bought into our dream for all these years. And it's hard. It's hard to be away from our guests. It's hard to be away from what our normal routine is. And certainly that brings with it a myriad of emotions, brings with it a myriad of things, from stress to anger to frustration to grief to loneliness. All of those things they're real right now. And see, my dog heard that. Belden's lonely. So anyway, Terry, you gonna control your favorite animal? So anyway, what we wanted to say is today has been a historic day in so many ways. Earlier this week, it was historic in that our kind of commonly divided Senate, our government, which has been very partisan, it still has politicized this beyond belief. And I wish that they would step back from politicizing it. And I think they're trying to in this case, but sometimes they just can't help themselves. They voted 100%, 96 votes positive, no votes negative. Yay for the Senate. Today, in the first day that they considered this act, the House came forward and also approved this. And I think maybe by now the president has signed it. But if not, it'll be soon. That the Phase 3 Coronavirus Aid and Relief Act, which is, I believe it's called CARES, C-A-R-E-S, will become law. And there's a lot to digest. I've talked to people, in some cases, that should be in the know, that you'd think would be in the know, that aren't. We're starting to, and you know what? With that, I want to say something to everybody. There's so many voices, even on Facebook, even on Instagram, even on YouTube, everywhere you turn, on podcasts. Everybody seems to, they want to do something. That's the great part. They want to do something. They want to reach out. They want to make impact. They want to help the people they love and care about. And that's what we want to do. We want to help you, the salons, the independent single chair salons, the schools, the friends that we have that listen to this. We want to be sure that our friends are cared for. There's a lot in this act. I've actually got three different kind of reviews of the act in front of me. And all I want to say is we'll be more detailed with individual things on this as we get into next week. When we come back probably on Monday for another chat. But know that what I really want to read is some of the headlines and some of the things that I think are going to matter to all of us in small business and all of us that are, whether it's away from our salons, schools, our businesses. There is hope, which there really always has been. We're not in this alone, and we said that repeatedly. So there is, as part of this, there's a paycheck protection plan, and that has several different ways of looking at it, but all that I can see is good and positive things for us as small business owners. Whether it's the fact that we have had to furlough people, for people that are on unemployment, there's good news. For people that are still employed, there's good news. For owners that are paying their staff, there's good news. SBA is guaranteeing some loans. They're expressing some loans. They've raised limits on some loans. Really good stuff that's possible out there. In addition, there is a specific loan facility that's being, again, funded by the Treasury Department that's going to help our lending institutions offer loan facilities for small to mid-sized businesses, of which we all fall into that category. The way they define that is 500 or less. Now, it's a different definition for nonprofits, but for us, it's certainly less than that. There's unemployment insurance provisions, and
the 500 and less that you're referring to is number of employees.
Number of employees, yes.
Right.
So the unemployment, there's a lot of different things that we're finding. Hairdressers really haven't in their lives applied for unemployment, so it's different. It's cumbersome. It's worrisome. I got a message this afternoon before I came on from an employee, a team member from the school, who was worried because they felt they hadn't worked for the school long enough in order to apply for unemployment. And when we researched that person's employment record, certainly not only were they long enough with us, but they were long enough with their previous employer that they should have no problem. The thing I'd say to everybody, especially hairdressers, you haven't done this, stay on it. Either get through on the internet or get through on the phone in order to get that unemployment started. It's there for you. You've paid into it. Your owners have paid into it for years. We want to be sure that you get that benefit. Now here's the cool part. The benefit also widened with this CARES Act, and that's that people that are considered self-employed or gig workers, one gig to the next, which a lot of times is a 1099 type staff member, they're included now in unemployment insurance compensation, which they weren't before. They were misclassified.
Categorized.
Yeah. There is also a benefit that's going in that's going to extend. If someone's already received their full 39-week benefit, they will be able to get more unemployment. The difference is just a behind-the-scenes government thing where the government's going to pay the entire amount rather than the state. So that's possible. There's also an increase in compensation rate that the government is funding. I don't want to get too specific with that, although it is significant. It's more than what the current state rate is for employees that go on unemployment. So that's good news as well. There's some business tax provisions, and they're coming at kind of all kinds of different levels. For example, they're going to allow businesses to carry back losses, not only from the previous 3 years, but to go 2 years back beyond that for any losses, to be able to go back and perhaps reclaim, if you had losses, reclaim taxes that were paid in your profitable years to put that money back in your pocket. Again, we're not I'm not an accountant, I'm not a banker. So when I'm talking to you about these are things to maybe spark an awareness that leads you to your banker, to your attorney, to your accountant to get the details on it. Should you want copies of what we have, I'm not going to just automatically send these copies out, but if you contact us, and I'll give you a email address at the end of this, I'd be happy to make copies and send it out to you. They're also going to allow a delay in payroll taxes due for 2020. They're going to provide a 50% refundable payroll tax credit for employers whose businesses have been fully or partially suspended due to government limitation on commerce or whose businesses have exceeded a 50% decline. Well, we got a 100% decline, so I think we're there. So just know that that's true. Another thing that I want to say is that now, as part of this, they're encouraging telehealth. And I said this to some of our staff. Remember when we opened and we said that everybody's going through this in their own way, and everybody's having a myriad of feelings and emotions. And in some cases, we're alone. Please reach out. Should you feel the need, reach out to a professional therapist, counselor, etc., who is set up to be able to do telehealth appointments. Don't go through this without the help you need. It's now available. It's promoting telehealth, and please be sure that you do that. Some other things that we talked about originally that I know with just a phone call. If you've got bank debt, call your bank and ask for a deferral in payments, both principal and interest. Have them move that and shoot for 3 months. That seems to be move that 3 months at the end of the life of the loan. Don't just say 3 months and then amortize it over the rest. Move it to the end. So if your loan ended in July of 2021, now it's going to enter in end of October in 2021. So we're just adding that 3 months on. So that's a suggestion. For those of you that have children that have college loans that maybe they're paying back, please know that you can ask for a, what do they call that? I've got it right here. I've got it here, but I don't have it here. It's just a way to, again, defer the payment. I think they're allowing 90 days for the payments, so the next 3 months' payments will be forgiven without fees. You do need to talk to your loan counselor, not at the school you graduated from, but at your whoever's providing the credit. But there is a provision as well for that. So, we're trying to think about the entire family circumstance. People in Chicago, there is separate Chicago relief available for small businesses. Go to the City of Chicago site and see what they have. Illinois as a state has separate relief available to those, again, who qualify. And so in most cases, many cases we do, in some cases we don't. But you want to know, this is a time right now, we have time, and the people who get on this are going to be the people who benefit from it the most. Because there is even though it's unbelievable, $2.2 trillion, we can't relate to that amount of money. But the fact of the matter is, it is limited to that. So without further action by our government. So somebody's going to get it, and if you need it, we want you to have it, okay? They want you to have it. This is about keeping businesses in business, people cared for, people having food on their table, and so on. I would also ask your landlords, even your residence landlords, and your business landlords. You want that rent deferred. To be sure to do that. I'm sorry, Terry, go ahead.
Well, I think there's a couple of things that during stress, I think we want quick answers. And since no one has done this yet, I'm wondering if the process might be a little painful as far as, are we going to be on hold for an hour and a half? Or are we going to be able to withstand the pressure of being patient? I don't know. The only thing I can tell you is, once again today, I was on the phone with Medicare for an hour and a half. And there were a couple times I thought, forget it, this is just way too hard. And then I had to realize why I'm on the phone with Medicare, and it's for my mom, and hang in there and stay with it. And that's what we're going to ask you to do too for your businesses. I think it's really going to be worth it on the other side, but they might put us through a little bit more drama and pressure while trying to do the right thing for our businesses. They're saying they're going to make it as simple as possible, but it doesn't mean that you're not going to be on hold. And today I had a great person on the phone with me, and then I had a bad person on the phone with me, and that could happen to you too during this process. And just hang in there. And if you know these things are due you, then stay with it. Don't accept no, or we don't have that information, or we haven't been informed of that. Stay with it, because we know that these things are for you. And really the people that fight for their cause are the ones that are going to win.
Sorry, please continue. I was trying to look at the questions to see if we could answer any real time, since I had a moment with you talking.
But don't you think that the people that just stay in there and really try to master this process right now, so you can give back to someone else that might not understand it? Steve, the really thing that I want to provide is a list of, these are the things you need to do and these are the steps you need to take. Even while you were speaking, I'm thinking, is there enough information for them to move forward? I don't think so yet, but as soon as we can provide phone numbers, contact information, where you should start, I think that's what we need to do next. And hopefully we'll be prepared to do so on Monday.
Okay, yes, and what I would, I just want to echo and affirm what you just said, Terry. My biggest fear right now of this part of the process is that salons and hairdressers, individual stylists, aren't going to have the patience for the paperwork of this. And that's really what you said too. It's hang in there, don't give up, don't give in. We will, again, as time goes on and we understand, we know the contacts. Someone asked online, they said, did I miss something? Do we have a deadline? This bill that is tied to a lot of this is either going to be signed today, tonight, tomorrow. It's passed both the Senate and the House. And so it's going to become a bill, something the president wants, and it's the time is of the essence. So as soon as it becomes a bill, that's when we need to move.
Well, and here's the other thing. You might have to tell this story, whatever this story becomes, 5, 6, 15 times. Mm-hmm. And I know that it's going to fall under, this is too hard. Well, this is all new to everybody. And I don't think when you're mastering something ever, the first attempt is going to be easy. So we're going to have to dig in and stay with it. I know there'll be a lot of emotion and a lot of frustration during this. And hopefully, as we all go through this, because PSC will be going through this as well, we'll be able to guide you through with confidence. That's one of the greatest strengths Steve has, is his patience. I mean, if I've learned anything from him, it's how easy he makes the tough things look. So let's take advantage of his strength and patience right now, and have him help us guide the boat on this topic for our industry and for our salons.
Okay, so thanks, Terry. If it was me, where I would start right now, tonight, tomorrow, through the weekend, until we come back together and talk more specifics, what is in place right now, not directly related to the CARES act that is just passing is the forbearance information for student loans and parent student loans. So that could affect some of you as well who took out loans from the federal government for your children to go to school. So you're going to want to be able to, you'll find information about this on the U.S. Department of Education. You can go directly to your loan servicer and ask for your loan counselor and ask those things. In some cases, they may suggest a consolidation of loans. In some cases, what you're asking though for is forbearance. That was the word I was looking for earlier that I could not find. That's in place right now, so you can get on that. The other things we're going to look to get involved with that. Oh, I'm sorry. If you're out there and your salon has closed and you haven't personally filled out or contacted your state unemployment agency, or you haven't gotten through, or you got through and the questionnaire was difficult for you, you didn't feel like you had the information, and you gave up. Don't give up. Stay in there. Talk with your salon owner. Ask the questions. Ask the questions of us. We'll do the best we can to always get back to you with an answer. But we want, clearly that's in place for a reason. You should have it. You shouldn't be going through this with any more worry than necessary. We're all going to have worry, but
I think the other thing you should do as an owner is reach out to every one of your employees. I don't know if we've done this yet, to see if they've indeed filed.
Yes, we have.
And good. And if anyone is having any struggles, how can we assist them? It's kind of having that peace of mind. It's one thing, I can tell you during this time, I certainly am going to use learning how to use technology. It comes very easy to some people. And then someone else will say, just press the backstroke. And they almost look at you like you have 5 heads that you're not following along. I don't want to leave anyone behind because they're having a hard time doing it. So we need to check with them, make sure that they're all in compliance with what's requested of them, and that we know at Forward that our team is in good hands. And the last thing you want to hear is, we've got 5 employees and that 6th one hasn't done anything because they got overwhelmed. So check in with all of your staff.
And in that note, I know that I've had several conversations today with salon owners and, people who were getting ready to schedule or had scheduled meetings. I can tell you what we do. If you remember from, I think from the last, maybe it was even the first of these messages that we did, there's a great message on YouTube from Simon Sinek, and it's called How to Stay in Touch with Remote Employees. Right now, all of our teams are remote. And right now, what's important isn't that we talk business with them. What's important is that we talk with them. And not to them, but with them. And so, for example, this week, we had a Zoom call with our entire consultant staff. And when Terry asked me when I got home yesterday how it went, I said it was very emotional. And it was emotional because we didn't deal with the business person, we dealt with the person. We were talking and sharing as a group of individuals that are going through this alone together. And we heard some of the fears, and we heard some of the worries and the emotions, and we heard stories about their salons and things that we were hearing about that's going on in your salons. That's what's important right now. Know that if you're in a salon, your stylists are missing each other, they're missing you, and they're missing their guests. So what we're suggesting is that you come together once a week with your team. What we're doing at PSC, because of the number and the amount of people, we want to be specific. We're asking our directors to meet with their teams via Zoom. We use Zoom as the and Zoom can be done from your notebook. It can be done from your cell phone. And in most cases, if you're using it a small amount of time, it's free. and you can probably find it for free because of the coronavirus as well. So I would suggest that. You don't want a text message for that to accomplish that. You don't want an email to accomplish that. You don't even want just a phone call. You want to see people's faces. Mm-hmm. That's what we're starving for as business people and as service providers and as people serving, as servant leadership. So please do that. Get that on the schedule. Let them know that this is like with our, and we're even doing that from a distributor standpoint. We had a great meeting this week with fellow independent distributors on Zoom where we just talked. We just talked. That was it. And we talked about ideas. What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? And some great things came out of it. I think that again, you're in business for yourself, but you're not in business by yourself. That's what PSC is here for. That's what Terry and I believe in. We believe that it's about people first, and it's about relationships. And we need to right now be servicing those relationships, the ones you have with your staff, the ones you have with your guests. We will be coming out. There's some good ideas that are coming forth from the community. One that was really fun this morning, I got a picture that was sent to me this morning, first thing. And I took that picture and I sent it to about 15 salon owners. And it came back with a comment and then another comment. And everybody came back. The first blush was to say, that's a great idea. That's fun. We could do that. And then I think I said, well, what if we did this in addition to it? And then the next salon that was on there said, well, yeah, and what if we did this? And then somebody else said, well, yeah, we could do this too. All on the same premise. One photo started it, but it went boom, 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 boom in a matter of minutes. And I think it's going to be a great idea. It's going to be fun at the very least. And put some funds into people's hands to be able to do good with it. So there's lots of things that we can do, and I don't want to minimize this. This is huge. This is a big deal. We're all there. We're all going through it, and we're all going to get through it alone, together. So with that, I think we're going to, Terry, why don't you got any final remarks you want to make, and then I'll close this up? Yes?
I think, you know what, I cannot believe it's Friday. And, I woke up this morning not sure if it was Thursday or Friday. And thinking, okay, we survived a week. Did we survive? The right thing is we're breathing and we're eating and we're making sure each other is warm and safe. And that in itself is accomplishment, right? I still feel the heaviness and I still feel the responsibility. And but I think what is starting to happen now is our plans or strategies or what we're going to need to do for our businesses is starting to present itself. This dog thinks it's a mountain lion.
He's our protector. He's about 18 pounds, so he's really doing his best to protect us. So I think that there's a handful of things and some revenue building ideas that we're going to bring to you next week, as well as more details on how you can go back to really to work at getting the things you need for your business. But more than anything, I just want to share with you that our intent this entire week, our intent this entire time, really it starts before this week, is to be purveyors of hope. We want to connect with you on that human spirit that is, we're together and we are filled with hope because we know how the story ends. The story ends with this game, this COVID-19 being finite. It will work its way out. Yes, it may come back. Another strain of it may come back. Who knows? But we're going to get through this as an industry. We're going to get through it as a group of people that cares for one another. And as we kind of close this thing tonight, I just want you to know that we care about you. We care for you. We love you. We know that you're going through some really uncomfortable times right now, personally and professionally. And just as we always have been for 38 years, we've been together, and we're going to continue to do that. The other thing that I wanted to say, because it came to me, it's out of this is squirrel moment attributed to me. The last time the PSC, our company, did this little business, this little bitty amount of business for a whole week, was when we started.
Is it when you open? So this is a restart.
Yeah, but the thing is, I was so discouraged at this little amount of business when we started that I got hooked on video games because that was going to solve my problem.
Oh, so that's why you're doing
Miss Pac-Man. Right? So I was because I was so discouraged that we couldn't get it started that Miss Pac-Man and Galaga and all kinds of things that the young generation's never heard of. But it's probably the equivalent of Fortnite and all the other games that I don't know anything about. Thank God, because we're taking care of business. But just want you to know that it's going to take us coming together. I heard there's a podcast out there that I'm going to suggest. Certainly, it's by Kelly Cardenas. You can download it from Apple. It's the Kelly Cardenas podcast. Robert Cromeans is the first guest on that show, and an hour and 23 minutes, I think it is, and some really great conversation, good ideas, positive things, kind of to get us out of this space that we could potentially fall into. So if you find yourself getting quiet, if you find yourself getting down, if you find yourself spending most of the time worrying or just kind of letting the day pass, it's time to get back after it. We got to come together. We got to make this happen. We always have, we always will. So
I think this is a great definition of the little engine that could, right?
Oh, yeah.
And small business is going to prevail during this, especially during this time. And I am thrilled to see the amount of people that are supporting small business during this time, to see what they can do and how they can be of help and support during this. I guess this is a story I want to tell, and I hope it makes sense to all of you. Of my three girlfriends, I'm the one of our best friends. I'm the one that turned 60 last, and there's times when I almost can't handle the fact that I'm turning 60 this year. But truth be told, is I don't think I could do it if they didn't already turn 60 first. I mean, if they were still 25 and I was turning 60, I'd probably lose my mind. How I relate to that in life is, if Steve and I were going through this by ourselves, I don't know if we could ever get through it. But knowing that we're going through it side by side with all of you, and that we'll be able to tell people how we overcame this, and these are the ideas that we had and what we needed to do, makes it more bearable. And because of the relationships. And if we could ease your pain during this, which is what we're trying to do with these video presentations, might not ease your pain, but ease your mind on what strategies and what you need to do next. It's all going to be something we'll look back on in such honor. I guess the word that I'm thinking of. I love how the first question everyone says when they check in with you is, how are you doing? Mm-hmm. And what did Steve say? Just like you. I'm doing just as good as you are. Because we're all in this together.
So I think that I want to close with one last thought from Andy Andrews. Andy Andrews says that fear is nothing more than a misuse of our imagination. So I want you to think about that, because that's taken up mind space. What if you had a proper use of your imagination? And what if you went into...
yes, and, yeah.
Yeah, a yes and, or a what are we going to do mode. Get into that action item mode. Robert talked about that in his podcast with Kelly, where he said he and Mary sat down and in 5 or 10 minutes they came up with 30 or 40 things that they wanted to do coming out of this COVID-19. So what are those things for you? How can we involve our team in them? So with that, I want to say to our hairdressers, to our salons, to the salon owners, to our PSC team, to our school, both our school teams, to our fellow distributors.
We're not done yet.
We're certainly not done yet, and neither are you.
Neither are you.
Just with that, know that we're going to keep you all in our prayers, and know that when any time that we can't, God can. Thank you so much, and we'll be back next Monday.
See you then.